Hello YouTube, this is Steve and welcome to Space Engineers. I had some requests to do some videos on these, so I will be doing that as well as my Move series, and I'll be adding in a couple other games too. Gonna be start doing a lot more recording recently. It's something that I've wanted to do for a while, and I enjoy doing it, and so anyway. So here we are, Space Engineers. This game is still in development. You can get it through Steam, and I'll have the link for Steam in my description of the movie here, of the video. Once you have a Steam account, you just look for Space Engineers, buy it for whatever it costs. I don't remember. I bought it when it was very, very new, so the price may have changed since then. I don't know. Anyway. You just buy it and then you can play the game. They update the game every Thursday with something new. They just gave integrated mod ability to where when your host has a mod and you join that server, the mods automatically install and are compatible for the version that you're joining. So a lot of people compare this game to Minecraft, and in regard to that is better than Minecraft. I think that's amazing. Minecraft needs to do that so bad. Anyway, let's create a new world here. We're going to do survival mode. There's two modes. There's creative, there's survival, and creative just lets you place blocks without any resources, just like in Minecraft. Survival is less so. So here when we create a new world, we've got quick start, which just kind of launches you in. There's no like settings that you can change right off the bat. Custom world is just, you know, putting your own little deal into it. You gotta be specific in what you want. Let's call this Steve's Space Engineers. I apologize about my keyboard. Engineers, if I can spell. Survival. Most original game name in the world. Okay, here's where you select creative versus survival. You can choose to play online or offline, and you can go through here. It's very descriptive about, you know, what these different things do. So if I'm going too fast, you can kind of just come through here and look at it. Excuse me, it's late here, so I'm yawning a little bit, but I apologize. Okay, so environment hostility is asteroids, meteor showers. We're just going to leave it off. I don't want autosave because that interrupts the game and kind of doesn't make it really good for videos. We're going to go into advanced here. We're going to leave the description off because we're not inviting anybody. Here you can select survival versus creative again. And then the inventory size, all these things right here, you can stick with realistic, which makes the game tedious, let me tell you. I like to make things bigger, faster. Like I said, you can go through here and look at, you know, what each of these does, or you can pause the videos. I hover over them. But welding is what creates blocks. Grinding is what deletes blocks. Refining is how fast it will turn raw ore into refined ore. Same thing with assembler here. It uses less materials and it goes quicker. Inventory size. Let me just say that it's if you put this on realistic, you're gonna regret it. It's really tedious. Okay, so max objects here. This is when you have stuff floating in space. If you have too many things floating in space, it can lag your server. Since we're not playing on a server, this is not really that necessary. We could crank this all the way up. It doesn't matter. So I'll just kind of stick it wherever. Number of asteroids to start off with. I like having the most amount, not having them very large. I guess large is the only size you can get. I like having 16 of them. We're going to leave this alone. Turn auto healing off. I know I don't like hardcore very well. Like, we're going to turn permanent death off. That's kind of stupid. But I want to, if I'm hurting, I want to use my med bay. That's just kind of the RP, the role player in me. This is irrelevant. We're not going to have any clients. Weapons are enabled. Yeah, that'll be fun for later. We can modify these along the way. These aren't set in stone. So like, let's say that you forgot to unclick permanent death. Well, you can just exit the game. When you go to load it, you can say edit settings and come in and turn it off. So none of this is set in stone. I can turn all this down. We can mess with it as we please throughout the game. So I can come back on and turn those asteroids back on. With the asteroids coming at you, or meteors rather, with the meteors coming at you, if you have machine guns attached to your station, it'll shoot bullets at the meteors and destroy the meteors. It's kind of cool. So we may do that later. Weapons enabled, yes. Trash removal, I honestly don't know what that is. I guess I could read this, but you can read it. I never have it turned on, so I'm kind of used to it being off. We want it to delete the respawn ship, and that's the ship that you start off with. We're trying, I'll show you what that is here in just a second. This is irrelevant because I'm going to be the only one playing. Thruster damage, I'm going to turn that off. And I want to turn this off because I realize that thruster damage is realistic, but whenever you're watching like a sci-fi movie, and you have a ship that looks super amazing, it never has thrusters anywhere but the back. It just magically slows down. Well, with thruster damage being off, we can stick the thrusters inside the ship, or inside a nacelle or something like that, and it will slow the ship down without destroying the ship. So we can make stuff look really, really cool without destroying the ships. Cargo ships, these are NPC ships that spawn in the game that we can go capture and break down and stuff. Kind of like being a pirate. We may turn that on later. For now, we'll leave that off. This is irrelevant. We don't need I don't have any spectators. I may turn that on later if this series gets popular and you guys want to see me build and me play. Then I may turn this on. Reset ownership. No, not going to do that either. That's irrelevant. So let's click that. Now, if we were to add any mods here, we would click into mods, and we would have a list of mods here that we could add in over here to just by clicking this button, or we could double click them. There's the videos out on spaceengineers.com that will show you how to do that. So over here on the left, these are the scenarios. If you hover over them, they'll tell you what each of them does. And I can if you want to play along, or if you want to go start your own survival, you can see what each of those does. Empty world, this is not suitable for survival. There is no resources. You will die. Just a heads up. Like it says here, this is suitable for creative mode. So I wouldn't recommend doing survival in an empty world. It'll be a short game. Anyway, we're going to do asteroids, and we're going to kick it off. So this is going to take a moment to load, and while it's loading, I wanted to tell you a little bit about the mods, or the developers, the moderators. Now, like I said, they add something every Thursday, and they came out early in the development of the game, and they said, what, we're not really sure we can promise giving you something every Thursday, and that was, I want to say, almost a year ago, maybe more, and they've been doing it ever since. Something, even if it's just a little thing, like adding the mod integration. That's, to me, that's a little thing because it's not something that I'm really going to mess with too much. Some mods are pretty cool. We may add in a couple here and there if we find some cool ones. But the mods that I've looked at so far are just, like here's a vending machine, or here's a something or other, and it's just one item right in a mod. I'm used to mods being mod packs where like you have so like if we go back to Minecraft, for example, you've got Buildcraft as a mod, right? And that has like it changes the game. Like the mod completely changes how you play the game. Industrial craft, railcraft, stuff. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Mechanism, which is one of my favorite mods ever for Minecraft, completely changed how they play the game. Mods in Space Engineers, since this is still alpha, mods so far, they don't completely change how I play the game. So we're probably not going to mess with mods too much, unless one comes out that does that. So if somebody's watching this that knows of a mod that completely changes how they played Space Engineers, I'd be happy to check it out. So some of the things that we're going to be doing in this game, as the game gets updated every Thursday, I'll kind of talk about it briefly. There's plenty of Space Engineers YouTubers out there that are just amazing. Let me highly recommend Sage is one of them. Sage is really good. Last Stand Gamers is my favorite. The gentleman's name is Aaron. He's really, really good. He puts out some great instructional videos, some great creative videos. Kind of advertising for those guys just for free. But there's been some really good videos on those series. So check those guys out. Alright, here we are on our ship, and I'm going to go over this. First episode's going to be real basic. We're going to just go through the basics, and then we'll call it an episode. Next episode, what we'll do is actually start building some stuff. So if you already know how to play the game, just go ahead and skip through this. But for those of you that haven't, never played this game before, we are just going to go through all of the buttons and all of the reasons why you do certain things. We may go look for uranium here right off the bat. Okay, the first thing I want to draw your attention to is the bottom right hand corner of the screen. There's a blue box there. That is all the information from your ship. How big your ship is, that's the mass there in kilograms. How fast you're going, the power usages that you're using in percentage. How much power your reactors are putting out, so on and so forth. Keep going down the list all the way down until you see the fourth item from the bottom there, fuel time. Sitting still here with my engines running, I have 6 hours of fuel in my ship. Now, if I were to hit Y to turn off my ship, of course I'm not losing any power whatsoever. Turn it back on, and now I start losing power. Now, if I start moving at all, it drops down to 15 minutes instantly. So whenever I stop moving, then it'll jump back up to however many hours. So when you're not moving, it's kind of cool. I really like that about this game. The more you use something, the more power it's taking, the less time you're going to have. That's really cool. It's really dynamic. Landing gears, we'll get into that later. If we have landing gears on this thing, it'll tell me how many we have, whether it's in proximity to something, and whether it's locked and not locked and stuff like that. So that's really cool. Bottom left hand corner of the screen there is my character's information. I am currently piloting a large ship. Now if I hit T to exit the cockpit here, I would be flying. Now let's okay, now it says I'm standing, so that's kind of neat. So we're gonna come back over here, make sure this is highlighted, hit T again. Jetpack, you can turn the jetpack on and off. You'll notice that I did that. So you hit X to turn the jetpack on. This lets you fly around. Dampeners will slow you down, so let's run outside real quick here. T to interact with control panels and stuff like that. So let's turn my dampeners off. Now if I go backwards here, I let off the button, but I'm still going the same speed. As soon as I turn my dampeners on, that's when I start slowing. So it's not really inertia dampeners. I guess it is in space. Yeah, I guess it is. But I think of inertia dampeners as something that prevents you from feeling G-forces. That's kind of how I think of inertia dampeners. But anyway, it tells you whether your lights are on. You turn your lights on with L, and you can kind of see in the screen there it turns it off. Now, with my lights on, I'll consume more energy. Two or three things down from energy, or from lights, is my energy. If I have my lights on, I'll consume a little bit more power, so I like to keep those off. Also, when your jetpack and dampeners are on, you'll consume more energy. So if I were to turn all three of them on, you'll see that my power will start draining a lot faster than when they're all off. So let's turn all those back off again, and my power should stabilize pretty good here. Volume again, that is in okay, so look at it. It says 148, and then there looks like there's another number there. It looks like that's a 1. That's a lowercase l, I believe. I believe that stands for liters. That's always been there. And the amount of stuff that I'm carrying is 148 liters. If I go to my inventory by hitting I, you'll notice that I have 148 liters in my inventory, and that's the tools that I'm wearing. So don't get thrown off. I'm not carrying 1,481 liters of stuff. It's just 148 liters, and I believe that L is just maybe cut off or something like that. Okay, so another thing to show you is the gravity over there in the bottom right hand corner. That shows you how strong it is and in which direction. It's straight down from me. Now if I look down, that's where it's going. I can look up. That's not really intuitive. I think that's one thing that they need to work on, because this looks exactly like this, and I have no idea which direction it is. So anyway, you'll notice that when I'm in a ship, the gravity's on the left, and when I'm not in a ship, the gravity's on the right. So, okay, so let's look at some of the things here in this starter ship. This is the starter ship that I told the game to delete when I leave the game. So when we leave the game, we're going to spawn on a new ship, and that's fine. Not too bothered about that. Okay, so the gravity generator here, this is what makes our gravity work. If you hit K, yeah. This is different. You can't hit T to interact with this because it doesn't do anything. Like I can't just turn it on and off by hitting T. This, on the other hand, is different. So you're gonna have to get used to which ones do which, I guess. K to access this, and what comes into our control panel. We have gravity generator selected by default because that's the controller that we had selected when we hit K. I can turn it off, which kind of kills the gravity, which does kill the gravity. We can rename it. We can add it to our HUD, and we'll get into that later. We need an antenna for that. We can adjust the field width. That's how wide it is. So in a circle, in a radius in this direction, that's field width. Okay. Come back in here. Field height. That's in a radius going in this axis here, straight up and down. And then field depth is the other one, the other direction. So, okay. Acceleration, this is the direction that it's using, that we can turn this down and make it weaker. So we're still being pulled down by 0.2 Gs, which means that we're being less affected by the gravity. Now we can put it the other direction, right? So now we're upside down because it's pushing stuff away instead of pulling, if you want to think of it that way. So we'll leave it down to 1. Now you notice on the right hand corner here, this is how much power that we're currently using. We're using 90 kilowatts, and we could turn this down to, you know, to very little, or we could crank it all the way up and just kind of burn through our power in a hurry, but we're not going to do that. So, okay, that's that. Let me turn my music down just a hair. I feel like that's up a little high. I want to have it in here, but anyway, okay. Sounds the same. Okay, if you hit V, you can go into third-person view, and we're going to interact with this med bay. This is a med bay. There's two things that you can do with a med bay. This one here, you'll notice my energy on the bottom left-hand corner. It's gone down a little bit. So I'm going to hold T, and it's going to refill my energy. That's kind of nice. Now here, the reason I went into third-person mode, if I hit K, if I hit T, it brings up the color scheme. So I can come in here and I can change the color of my suit, any hue of the spectrum. I could drop it down all the way to white or all the way to black. And the saturation here is just kind of, you know, how much of the color is being used. So no color, full color. Let's go with a black suit. Okay. V to go back into first person mode. And then we have 3 items over here and then 1 item outside we'll look at before we start going to look for stuff. Okay. The refinery here, this is where we're going to put our raw items. If you hover over this, you see how it kind of highlights there. If you hit K, you have access to the refinery. You can throw raw ore here, and it's going to spit out refined ore into these inventories here. So, nice thing is if you're refining uranium, it will automatically get sent to the reactor if it has connector, what are they called? Assembly line things connected to it. Let's see what they're called. Let's see here. Getting a little bit of lag. There we go. Conveyor tubes. That's what it's called. Okay. I got to that menu by hitting G. These are all the items that you can build in the game. So you can kind of hover over them and see what they'll take. We'll go over that more in detail later. So the assembler here, this is the thing that we have access to that lets us create things. So if I come to the production tab, you notice here's the ingots that we're going to get from the refinery. We use those ingots to turn them into items. Okay, so if we come into the production here, look at the items. This is the things that we can make. These are components of items, so these aren't, these are what the assembler can make. From there, these are the different things. These two are the ones that we can make with the components. These 2 tabs are things that the assembler can make itself. So the assembler makes these things and these things here, and we put together those components to make these things. So with this, it would be really cool if this game had 2 things, and maybe it does, and I just don't know how to turn it on. So since these are things that the assembler can make, it shows the materials required to make the hand drill, for example, in terms of refined ores and stuff. Same with this. So if you come in here, these take iron, whatever. Now this doesn't take iron to make. This takes steel plates. But it shows us how much it costs in iron instead of steel plates, and it'd be really nice to be able to toggle between the two. I guess I'd rather see, okay, this is going to take 25, this is going to take 5 steel plates versus this takes 1. This is small ships, this is big ships and stations. This is going to take 25, this is going to take 50 or whatever, 150 or whatever it is. So it'd be nice to see that, you know, these in terms of the items, the materials that it takes. So anyway, that's that. Over here is the disassembler. So if you have these raw components, any of these raw components here that you want to just turn back into ore, you can click on the disassembler, take items from your inventory and put them into the production queue, and it'll disassemble them back into materials. In this drop-down menu here, if you had more than one assembler, you could come into your control panel and rename your assembler. Like this one's going to assemble weapons only. So your weapons assembler, or you have steel plates assembler, or whatever. You can have more than one. You can rename them, and you'll be able to select them from here. Or you could even dedicate one assembler to disassembling, which is what I'm going to do. And you'd name it disassembler, and that way you can know when you're selecting these which one you're using. So that's quite the diverse item block right there. We've got a cargo container here. Notice that it has 156,000 liters. Okay, so let's look at that real quick. So if I go into my inventory, I can carry 4,000 liters. I realize that's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of stuff. On the realistic setting, remember when we were making the game, it's only 400. And I'm already, you know, more than 25% into that, just holding my weapons. If I wanted to build a large reactor, I couldn't do it because the amount of items that I could carry, I mean, it would have to carry, like, the reactor components are huge. You can only carry so much of those, and anyway, it would take you forever. It would just be so tedious. Alright, the last thing we're going to look at here is there's some more things on here. We're not going to bother with them. We will definitely be getting into all the blocks in this game before the series is done, for sure. So right here, nuclear reactor. Okay, this is something I'm probably going to address when I'm building my power plant later on, but nuclear reactors take uranium, and uranium produces heat. Generally, that's to produce steam. So this is all done here within one block. Anyway, this is where your power is. Notice that we have half a liter in here. And so we need to find some more uranium in a hurry. So, alright, last thing I want to show you is down here at the bottom is the toolbar. Stuff already in my inventory here, or on my toolbar here, you just right click to get them off. I want to redo all of this. So I've already got hotkeys on my mouse to select from one to the next. By default, that is the comma and the period key on your keyboard, or the lesser than and greater than buttons. But I say comma and period because you don't need to hold shift, which is how you get to the greater than and less than. But anyway, comma, period, to go from forward and backwards. What this lets us do, this is a rather new feature, but let's say that I want to put all of my building blocks here on the first toolbar. Second toolbar, let's go with small ship components that I'm going to need. So let's fill that up all the way. Oops. Let's do that right there. Okay, and then let's say we want to have a couple more of these items. Okay, and then we're kind of coming here, and then we'll have, this is kind of what I've been playing with, and we'll have here. Okay, so what I was doing with all that is I just right clicked on something in here, and it shows up on my toolbar. Right click to put it away, right click to equip it. Otherwise you can just left click, drag it, and drop it wherever you want it. So, which is what I did with these here. I just left click, dragged them, and dropped them. So, okay. Get out of that. Now that I have something in my hand, if I hit the number 4, you see how number 4 is empty on my toolbar? It unselects it. Or you can hit the grave button, which is to the left of the 1 on your keypad, or you can hit 0 on your number pad, or on your keypad there. So, and that takes you just to nothing. So, let's get back in our ship here. Let's go look for some uranium. There's one more thing I want to show you before we call it an episode. I do realize that I've been talking a little bit fast, but V again to go into third-person view, and scroll button to zoom out. Now what I'm doing here in my ship, if you hold Alt and move your mouse around, it lets you look at your ship in all directions. So by default, when you hit the V button in the third-person view, it comes you out into this like almost tabletop. I like to bring it down a little bit more. See, you see my crosshairs there, right in that yellow? I like to bring that down so that it's, so that I can kind of still see what's in front of me, but not so much that it's like, way down here, tabletop method. Otherwise, if you don't hold Alt down, it's going to turn your ship around. Now, this is a rather quick way to turn your ship. You can do it with the arrow keys. So left and right arrow keys, up and down, lets you do that. I just like to do it with my mouse because it's really good. WASD keys, forward, back, left, right. Now there's one thing I want to show you that's pretty cool. Okay, so I'm accelerating forward. And you see my speed there on the right hand side. It's the third one down from the top, going 18, 19, 20, 21, etc. Now if I let off, the forward thrusters come on to slow the ship down. I think that's amazing. That's always been in the game since I started playing it. That's really, really cool. It's very realistic, and I like it a lot. Okay. Other things for controls, up and down, space is up. That's going to take you up. So if I look around, and then if I stop now, if I hit C, we'll go down until we reach, okay, there we go. Q, let me get back into this view here. Q will yaw the ship to the left. E will yaw to the, I think yaw's the right term, to the right. Alright. Okay, let's go take a look at all these asteroids we have. Okay, now, those asteroids out there that you see, we can't get to those. Those are just decorations. I've tried flying to them before. They don't exist. Okay, so what we're going to look for right away, the first thing you want to do is find uranium. Uranium is a black ore that's in the asteroid itself. That looks black, so we're going to go there. You may want to make sure you don't fly into the asteroid, so I'm going to start slowing down here. That could just be a shadow. It is. Bummer. Okay. I almost flew into the asteroid. Getting a little bit of lag. Alright. Or frame rate drop, rather. Okay, so let's take a look around. If you don't find uranium right away, I would recommend turning your ship off. So, let's stop. 0 meters per second. I would come over here. Make sure your door's open. Okay. Come back in your ship. Turn it off. That way, if you need to recharge, you have access to your med bay. Another thing that you can do, let's turn my lights on to kind of drain my battery a little bit. Another thing you can do to recharge is just to get in the cockpit. I don't know if you'll recharge when the ship is off. No. So you gotta turn the ship on, you'll recharge to full, and you can turn the ship off, and there you are. I'm not losing any energy. That's something that they probably need to fix. So when the ship is off and I'm sitting in the cockpit, they could, I should start losing power. I believe I can find uranium in 15 minutes. Hopefully. There's not that much time left on the video here before I would like to go. But there's one thing I want to show you before I go, so that you can get started. And that is using the ship's gravity to help mine by hand better. Okay. The music in this game is beautiful. Kudos to the developers. It's very, very beautiful. Okay, we got 7 minutes left. Yeah, you see. Okay, so let's come into the control panel here and let's turn the lights off, interior lights. Turn those off. There we go. That should save some power. Let's turn off the door now that it's open. I don't know how much power each of these are draining. There we go. Gyroscope is pulling some power. Medroom should be pulling some power. Refinery, let's turn that off. Need all the thrusters. Anyway, okay, you can optimize like that, and that gave us a few more minutes. I think this is some right here. Yeah. Yep, this is some right here. Great, I believe. Okay, so here's how we find out if that's uranium. Oh, did you notice? Okay, I knew this. I just didn't. I just needed to show you guys. I guess I just didn't think about showing it right now. When I'm in this inventory, when I'm not in a ship right here, it saves my my preferences for my taskbar. When I come into this ship, I have more preferences. It's different. I don't have access to the same things. Instead, I can hit G and see what's equipped on my ship by scrolling up here, and I can turn these on and off individually. If you right click on here, it gives you, we'll go into this later. I don't want to overwhelm you with information right now with this, but you can turn those on and off. Or you can control a lot of things. That's a new feature recently as well, but we will get into that. Okay, so here's how we tell if this is uranium. We come in here and you equip your drill. Oh no, it's just a shadow. Fooled by a shadow. Bummer. Okay, I'm sure there's some in here somewhere. Okay, you see where it says iron and platinum? That is my drill. My drill has an ore detector built into it. It's kind of cool. So if you're close to the surface here, it'll tell you, hey, this is, oh, there's uranium, right there. Let's see, it's gonna be behind this iron. Okay, can I get to it from the outside here? Uranium. No, I lost it. It's gonna be behind that. Okay. Oh, here's some. That's uranium. That's not a shadow. Yep. Okay. So here's the trick I wanted to show you before I left you. Okay, you want to come into your ship here. You want to turn it back on. You want to come into your gravity generator here, and your field height, you want to crank that up quite a ways. I realize that's going to drain your battery a little bit, which is probably why you should find uranium before before you get too crazy with flying your ship around, before you get too low on your power. There is what I'm trying to say. Apologize. Okay. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get the bottom of this ship as close as I can to that uranium in a little pocket there. So let's tilt it to the left here a little bit. Come down a little bit more. I'm gonna leave room for my guy. Let's look there. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so what that's gonna do, let me come back out. I don't want to leave my ship on this time. What that's gonna do is whenever I mine something, here, let me show you. So we're gonna go outside of the gravity field here, and when I mine by holding left click, it's gonna start throwing all that stuff off into space. You see those rocks just flying everywhere? Now if I right click, it just deletes it. Like, it doesn't, the rocks aren't being made. You can see that they're being made, but then they're just disappearing right away. That's deleting. That's the button to delete if you right click on your drill. And that works with your ship stuff too. So if you're drilling with your ship, you have, or your drills or whatever, left click actually makes it collects the rock. Right clicking deletes it. So if you're wanting to get through all this stone, like, you don't really need stone. Stone is kind of useless. You don't want to. You just right click on it and it just deletes it. So it grinds it all down. Okay, so now that we're in this gravity field, the gravity is coming down. We're using our ship's gravity, and what we're going to do is we're going to collect some uranium. So it's straight down from here, and as I'm left clicking, kind of bouncing me all over the place here, it should be collecting it in the bowl here. Oh, let me get back up. Okay, so we made a little hole here, and it just collected them right in that little bucket. Now I hold T, or I just push T or whatever, and it starts, it collects them. So I left click here to mine, he'll hold T to pick it up. So yeah, that's how that works. Then you come up here back into your ship on the other side. Okay, and we're going to stick this in the refinery. Okay, to access that now I have 322 units here, and it's going to refine those. Oh, I turned it off, didn't I? Alright, so let's come in here. We'll just select everything. No. Okay. Why did I turn off? I'm gonna turn it all back on again. Okay, the lights, I know I turned those off. Refinery, let's turn that back on. I think that was it. Okay, now, oops. Now if I come back to the refinery, it should be refining my stuff now. There we go. Alright, you hear it working in the background there. Now the uranium is being made, and then it's being transported to our reactor. If we come back outside, whoop, that was close. If we come back outside to our reactor here, a small reactor, it's going to put that, it's going to get bigger and bigger. Now, unfortunately, having showed you all of this, if I called it an episode here, and I'm going to, this is going to disappear. My guy's going to disappear, and everything that we just did is going to be gone. And that's okay. What we did took no time at all. So now that I know where this is at on this asteroid, we can get here in a hurry. So I'm going to start off next episode with a new ship, basically right over top of this, and we will start building. We've got iron here. Iron's great for making platforms. I'm sure inside of this asteroid we have other materials, like if I've got magnesium right there in the wall there. Probably have this, probably cobalt here. Yep. Okay. Anyway, these are things that we need to make to start doing like med bays and stuff. Med bays let us spawn here instead of in a new ship. We need a refinery. We need a an assembler to start making all the things that that we can without using this. Now I could grind this down. So if I use my grinder, I could start collecting the materials that show up there. So those are the materials that it takes to make the medical room. If I just held down my left mouse button here, I could collect all those and just make a med bay. But I'm not going to do that. We're going to do it the right way. In my mind, the right way, we're going to start, we're not going to use this for materials. We will use the assembler and the refinery that are in there to work the materials that we collect, to build our own refinery, to build our own assembler. We're not going to take the parts from this ship. So anyway, that is the intro to Space Engineers. I will have more videos coming out for this. We will have a really good time in this series, and thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. I will catch you next time. Have a good day.